This is session 5 of the Mariah Foundation's Life Response class, where we are taking a deeper look at our reactions to those things in life that have negatively affected us. Whether we received something in life that was counter to our healthy development, or we failed to receive something we needed for healthy development, either can stunt and halt our ability to live in the freedom God desires for us and purchased for us through His death and resurrection. For more on that particular concept, please see our teaching for session 1. But as a way of introduction, I would simply like to point out that we all seem to have certain struggles in life that appear to be both cyclical in nature and a roadblock to breaking through to freedom and spiritual maturity. Inner vows can be one potential reason for this cyclical defeat and roadblock. The concept of inner vows can be somewhat confusing at times, and we ask ourselves the question, what is the scriptural basis for the concept really? While various writers mention the concept and encourage one to face and deal with these vows, it is always important to seek the scriptures for understanding on such issues as inner healing. That is where this session will begin. Now, the concept of vows is not a new one associated with the New Testament. The words of Jesus as recorded in the New Testament were oftentimes simply reiterations of the heart of the Torah. A word search of the scriptures reveal that vows are talked about fairly extensively in Numbers chapter 30. So let's go ahead and read through this passage, and then when we complete it, I'll follow up with a few points. Then Moses spoke to the heads of the tribes concerning the children of Israel, saying, This is the thing which the Lord has commanded. If a man makes a vow to the Lord, or swears an oath to bind himself by some agreement, he shall not break his word. He shall do according to all that proceeds out of his mouth. Or if a woman makes a vow to the Lord and binds herself by some agreement while in her father's house in her youth, and her father hears her vow and the agreement by which she has bound herself, and her father holds his peace, then all her vows shall stand, and every agreement with which she has bound herself shall stand. But if her father overrules her on the day that he hears, then none of her vows nor her agreements by which she has bound herself shall stand, and the Lord will release her, because her father overruled her. If indeed she takes a husband while bound by her vows, or by a rash utterance from her lips by which she bound herself, and her husband hears it, and makes no response to her on the day that he hears, then her vows shall stand, and her agreements by which she bound herself shall stand. But if her husband overrules her on the day that he hears it, he shall make void her vow which she took, and what she uttered with her lips, by which she bound herself, and the Lord will release her. Also, any vow of a widow or a divorced woman by which she has bound herself shall stand against her. If she vowed in her husband's house, or bound herself by an agreement with an oath, and her husband heard it, and made no response to her and did not overrule her, then all her vows shall stand, and every agreement by which she bound herself shall stand. But if her husband truly made them void on the day he heard them, then whatever proceeded from her lips concerning her vows, or concerning the agreement binding her, it shall not stand. Her husband has made them void, and the Lord will release her. Every vow and every binding oath to afflict her soul, her husband may confirm it, or her husband may make it void. Now if her husband makes no response whatever to her from day to day, then he confirms all her vows or all her agreements that bind her. He confirms them because he made no response to her on the day that he heard them. But if he does make them void after he has heard them, then he shall bear her guilt. These are the statutes which the Lord commanded Moses between a man and his wife, and between a father and his daughter, in her youth, in her father's house. Well, we want to take a look at two critical points here, because there are two very critical things to understand from this passage. The first is this, that lines of authority are outlined here. And the first would be that if a man makes an oath, he is held to it before the Lord. There is no lifting or nullifying of the vow mentioned here, because there is no one in the line of authority above him except the Lord himself. Now, a daughter may have her vow nullified by her father because he's in authority over her, or a wife can have her vows nullified by her husband because he's in a line of authority above her. But secondly, we need to understand that there is nothing noble or positive associated with making a vow. Notice the connection of binding, of rashness, and of affliction of soul connected to vows. And then also notice the need for forgiveness connected to vows. This would strongly imply that offense is committed through making these vows. Now, in the New Testament, vows are reiterated. And in Matthew 5:33 through 37, vows are discussed by the Lord Jesus Christ. And we need to understand that according to Messianic Jews, they would state that all New Testament teaching and passages have their corresponding Old Testament teaching and passages, and vice versa, because the book is considered one. And so Numbers 30 will correspond with Matthew 5. Let's read from that now. Again you have heard that it was said to those of old, You shall not swear falsely, but shall perform your oaths to the Lord. But I say to you, do not swear at all, neither by heaven, for it is God's throne, nor by the earth, for it is his footstool, nor by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great king.